What's
man.
up, folks? You alright, buddy?
I was sneezing, dude. Jesus.
What's up,
Mm,
folks? Welcome back to another episode of Charm
fucking
City Heavyweights
disaster, man.
Podcast.
Fucking boogers and everything.
Brought to you by Grade 8 Sports Memorabilia in Parkville, Maryland. I'm the host, Matt Trigger, and with me is my esteemed co-host, so elegantly coming into the show, Josh Merrill. What's going on, Josh?
What's up, Matt? My fucking fingers are sticking together, man. I need a napkin. Coming live from the man cave. It's Ravens, Jaguars. The Jaguars. I'm a original Ravens fan. I'm be nice about it. And the Jaguars used to give us a effing fit. It took us years before we could take them down. And whenever it's Ravens Jaguars, I think about that. I go back to that. What was that? Mark Brunell, whatever the hell his name was, used to chew us up. So it's going to be a tough game, man.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That was quite. I'm gonna lead us off. I know you're gonna hate me for it, Josh, but historically in the history of the Ravens and Jaguars, head-to-head competitions in 23 games, we are 10-13. The Jaguars are 13-10 against the Baltimore Ravens since 1996 in the old AFC Central.
Ridiculous.
So
with
let's
our
bring
ass
in
in
our
London,
guest.
man. With our ass in London,
he is
fucking disaster of a game that was.
He. Yeah, he is the host of Jaguars Report, and he goes by student of the game on X, formerly known as Twitter. Welcome to the show, Mr. Kyle Nash. Kyle, what's going on, man? How you doing?
An honor, joy, and privilege to be involved. Listen, you've seen me doing my work on the Duval Dive. I appreciate you bringing that in here, too. And listen, it's great to start a show when a dude has big sexy as the handle and is blowing it up sneezing, and the other host for a Ravens show has a beard that looks just like Marshall Yonda. We are on track here, guys.
Please make fun of Matt. That just only makes my night better. Please keep doing it.
Hey, it was equal opportunity. I thought I got you both, but let's do the thing, fellas.
Yeah. Hey, Josh had the most elegant intro in all of podcasting history just now. But Kyle, it's been quite the year for both of our teams. The Ravens sit at 10-3 and head of they're number one in the AFC North, they're number one in the AFC entire conference. If the playoffs ended today, if the season ended today, we have the number one seed in the playoffs. You guys have been hit by the injury bug relatively hard this year, and we know all about that up here in Baltimore. It's been a very rough go the last couple of years with injuries. Let everybody that's listening on our side know what's going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars in the injury situation.
Oh, there's so much. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. The term MASH unit's been thrown around quite a bit. But I'll say this. The good news for the Jags is they're getting back Ezra Cleveland and Walker Little. Trevor seems to be in a better state than he was. And listen, when Trevor Lawrence is doing things, let me reassure the public, they have golf carts, okay? Trevor just wanted to walk off. Can we get past that here? Okay, Colin Cowherd going out here being all blessed and all that. But anyways, just want to clear that up too. They're still going to be without Christian Kirk, obviously, at the receiver spot, so that's an issue. It's looking like, according to what Coach Peterson said, they may have both corners back in Tyson Campbell and Trey Herndon. But to you guys' credit there, for the Ravens, what'll work for them, if Andre Cisco is missing, that's a very significant element, not just in the passing game, obviously, but you have this dude that moves around. Let me check my notes. Lamar Demetrius Jackson. No, anyway, seriously, you got to have a safety that can move around and when he does get to the outside and do Lamar Demetrius Jackson things, it's very scary. Fellas, let me tell you, the reason why I use 3 names is because on my podcast, The Student of the Game, bing, you earn a certain status, you get 3 names. And even though I campaigned hard that Russell Carrington Wilson should have gotten the MVP in 2019, I still have plenty of respect for Lamar Demetrius Jackson.
I like it.
I like it too.
I didn't know that was his middle name, to be honest with you. I just learned something new, man. Thank you. No fucking clue that's his middle name.
So I do know that I looked at the injury report that came out last night, and I did see Cisco's name on there. I know that he's a pretty good fit for you guys.
Hmm.
He tends to be kind of like your joker in that defense where he can move around in the slot, he can move around anywhere in the secondary. He's good in run support. So I'm well versed in knowing that he's one of your main guys defensively. I know that it's just going to be one of those games where it's going to be all hands on deck for you guys, and I know that feeling. Josh knows that feeling very well because when you're just banged up, it's hard to get through this part of the season, and knowing that you guys are essentially out of the AFC South race at this point, it's it's not necessarily a good feeling knowing that you're just kind of limping to the finish line at this point. We've all experienced that as football fans at some level, but I do want to ask you, how is Trevor Lawrence looking? I know that he had a ankle sprain a couple weeks ago, and that was a big key that you talked about earlier in a few minutes ago on the show. He didn't. He walked off under his own power. He wanted to tough it out. I don't see the big deal in it because the guy just didn't want to sit on a golf cart for 5 seconds. But uh, I'm I'm curious as to how he's going to do because he looked very inefficient in terms of accuracy. He was missing a lot of throws last week against Cleveland. He looks like he's very skittish on that ankle back there, and now you got the number one pass rushing defense coming into Duval. So how's this shaping up for Trevor Lawrence?
Listen, you bring up a number of good points there too. I went over this with my co-host Travis Holmes on the Duval Dive, and a lot of it is it's not that Trevor had a super awful game overall. Let's remember it was within one score. The Browns have the most underappreciated defense in the NFL. You gentlemen can attest to that personally. And no, I'm not taking a shot. I was surprised to see the result in question there too a number of weeks back. But the punchline is this, guys. Trevor Lawrence missed some throws because he couldn't plant properly. Now, no one's talking about Calvin Ridley not looking up soon enough to see one of those that should have been an undercut where the safety was over the top. That's a thing that didn't happen. But the thing that makes me most scared for the offense is the state of mind and being that the offensive line is at. Yes, Walker Little's back. Yes, Walker Little and Ezra Cleveland are both back. I don't know how back they are. You know how this thing goes, guys. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And they're still also without Cam Robinson. So somebody who's usually a guard is going to be playing tackle. It'll probably be Walker Little. And the other side is a rookie, which to Anton Harrison's credit, if they gave rewards for rookie offensive linemen, he should be getting some of them because the job he's done with the gauntlet he's faced. And no disrespect to your defense, I'm not even ready to add that on yet because it's going to be more. You mentioned how high ranked your pass rush is, right? But we're talking about Chris Jones, Jeffrey Simmons, DeForest Buckner, all sorts of guys. I know I'm leaving a few out just in the interest of time, have all battled this rookie up front there too. And by the way, a Kansas City Chiefs game that should have been won in Duval if Calvin Ridley didn't drop a key touchdown pass. There's been so many of that. The biggest thing I think, though, that works for the Jags, I mentioned some of the people coming back. One of them I failed to mention was Falaransu Fatukasi. And if Foley's in the game, any team has trouble running against the Jaguars. And you'll note a marked improvement in the run for the Bengals that Monday night, the moment he left the football game. No disrespect to Jake Browning. Yeah, I know listen, when back-to-back Jake Browning and Joe Flacco, with all due respect, gentlemen, are the dudes that are taking you on like a backup. I don't think Jake Bradley's a rookie, but a backup and a guy that's 20 years ago playing football. It's a rough out for the Duval Devout there. They ain't happy about what's going on there. Their tour through the AFC North has been pretty rough. And hey, I'm sure you guys, the guys you're putting on the field, are still kind of ticked off from the fact that the Jags snuck away with one last year. At Everbank. So that's just an extra bit of motivation you guys will certainly have. And at the end of the day, for me, I don't think necessarily the run's going to solve it here. People are going to be reminded that Lamar Demetrius Jackson can throw the football, and this trash of him being another running back will continue to be made to look stupid.
Yeah, we've been fighting that for a handful of years now.
Oh yeah, 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
we limp into the playoffs and then lose.
Yeah, we've been hearing about that, and it's gotten louder over the last couple of years, as Josh just said. But we know one thing is that we do not like going into Jacksonville,
Mm.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
and
I can imagine
it
why
just seems
not.
like that's one of those stadiums where it's very hard for us to win.
Yeah.
We just have bad luck when we're down there, it's nothing. We can't really put our finger on it, and you guys have a good football coach. You guys are a well coached team. You guys just had some bad luck this year with injuries. You guys are always competitive in the AFC South, which is an underrated division when the teams like the Titans and the Colts and now the Texans with Stroud, they're all kind of locked in. I always worry about seeing Jacksonville on the schedule, and I'm not saying that because you're here. Josh and I talk about this off the air a lot. That it's
You want to
always
see me either way. I cover the Jags.
Yeah.
I'm a 49ers fan. The big game for us is coming up, in my attitude.
right. So, yeah, Josh is our resident NFL All 22 film watcher. So, Josh, this is your key right here, man. What did you see on film with Jacksonville, and how do they stack up against Baltimore?
You mean offensively or defensively? Where are we going here?
Where you want to go, brother? It's your segment.
Matt, to be honest, I didn't break down Jacksonville as much as I should have this week, man. But look, it all depends if Trevor Lawrence plays. I think he is going to play.
Sure.
And I think it's going to come down to the Ravens' defensive line versus their offensive line. How much pressure are we going to get on Trevor? How comfortable can he get? I in my mind, I imagine Justin Matabuke, and I think Owe is going to stay hot in this game. But who the hell knows? Because if you're a Ravens fan and this game does not scare you, then you must not have been watching. Or I don't know, you're a fake fan because we always lose to the fucking Jaguars. Always, especially in Jacksonville. And if we ever schedule them in London or any other country ever again, man, I'm shutting the fucking podcast down that week. Jacksonville is a scary team, man. It's a scary team, but they did do us one big favor back in 2000. I do want to bring it up. Tony Banks got benched. Trent Dilfer came in. The rest is history. We win Super Bowl 35. So thank you for that, Jacksonville.
I just I can thank them for that too, which is an odd thing to even talk about 23 years later, man. Where we're
hey, man, same franchises, buddy.
For me,
players change, franchises don't.
For me, you brought up Mark Brunell, and you're bringing up history. My first credentialed event as a media member was the Hall of Fame where they inducted Jonathan Ogden, and then 9 years there, I'm there for Tony Baselli, who's the guy who he had introduce him. There was one. Here's the full circle, Mark Brunell. So I have plenty of links to the Ravens in my own mind. And hey, listen, let me throw this in there too. You guys are talking about your squad having 10 wins and all that. Granted, I may not have having 10 wins as of this week. That might be an inkling premature, but what I will tell you, gentlemen, it also helps. Well, I mean, actually, you guys beat Joey Burrow when he was still healthy. I don't think. No, you took him out. That's what it was.
That was the second.
We
game.
beat him healthy too.
We beat him healthy in week 4, I believe.
Yes.
Right, exactly. Well, healthy-ish, yeah, because he had the ankle thing. But I mean, he was healthy, and you took him out of the game. That speaks plenty to your defense, and also to how bad the Bengals O-line is. But that's a whole other conversation. Listen, you see the picture behind me. I have my credentials as a semi-pro offensive lineman for a year. Okay, that's the part of the world I look at, and frankly, the Bengals offensive line insults my craft at current. But the punchline's this, fellas. When it came to preseason, and I did my AFC North show, I think either in late July, early August, I kept trying to tell the world that your Baltimore Ravens are scarier than you think. All you're freshly worried about out there, media world, is all the press surrounding one old bones Odell Beckham Jr., who somehow is still standing upright. Awesome. Zay Flowers, who on our draft, who are on our draft reel special. The guy we had brought on, Nicholas Jorgensen, from Denmark, by the way, a Ravens fan from the Gould Klude podcast, picked Zay Flowers. And not only was he right, The dude is handling business to make Lamar Demetrius Jackson augmented from his running ability. And hey, you don't have a mash unit in your backfield right now. All that's working for you. I picked you guys to be dangerous and in the top 5 before it was cool. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm calling myself a Ravens hipster, even though I don't have an ounce of purple here. But
hey, we respect it. We respect it. I'll say that because right now we're the popular team to pick. About a month ago, there was still doubt. Now we're sitting at 10-3, and I think we're the favorite pick right now. And Josh, we talk about this a lot. Kansas City's having an off year. Buffalo's having an off year. The two sexy teams in the AFC are not what they have been in previous years. Miami is all flash and no substance. We see them next week, and they get punched in the mouth every time they play a team above 500. So that remains to be seen on that game. And this is the focus this week is you guys, because like Josh said, I hate playing you guys. I hate seeing you guys on the schedule. It used to be once every 4 years, but now they seem to throw you guys in there to us a year or two in between, and it irritates my soul. But I wanted to bring up your running game down there when we're talking about the offense and how you guys are looking.
I know about
Travis
their running
Etienne,
game.
yeah, Travis Etienne is a scary dude. That is
Yes, he
probably
is.
one of the most complete running backs in the NFL.
Dude has
And
over 1,100 all-purpose yards, man.
yeah,
already,
listen, when the moment
and
I
there's
saw
6 weeks left.
yeah, when I
Yeah.
the moment I
So
saw him in a preseason game against I believe it was your Cleveland rivals there, the Browns, in what I'll call the Deshaun Watson got booed game. I saw Etienne was going to be something special that point last year, right? We didn't really see Travis Etienne his first year, obviously, because he got hurt, and everybody else had to suffer through the Urban Meyer year. Which, Matt, I get all the respect you're paying Jacksonville, but you might have forgotten in 20 and 21. It wasn't so hot there in the Duval Branks there. Wasn't working all that great, but I'll say all this with Doug Peterson's arrival, things have looked a lot better. You know, having a coach that's more worried about staring at defenses rather than something else at a club on a Thursday night, it makes a difference. So once the Jags are no longer mired in Urban's coaching, see, I went to dad joke mode right there. But once they got through all of that, it did get a lot better, to your point. Travis Etienne, the only reason he doesn't have more rushing yards is because this offensive line in the interior is not great. Not great, Bob, right? I can argue that they're among the worst interior trio in the league. That's just the way circumstances kind of fell, right? You were dealing with the Cam Robinson suspension. Cam Walker immediately is kicked to the left side, and that's the reason why they drafted Anton Harrison, who I mentioned earlier, the rookie, right? In the trade deadline, they got Ezra Cleveland filling that guard spot so that there was somebody else there in the depth. Then they lost Cam Robinson. Walker Little had to get kicked back out. Now Walker Little was hurt. They had to kick Ezra Cleveland out there. There's the line depth is a problem. This is a reason 2 years ago that I was confused as to why they extended Cam Robinson. Not so much that he's a bad player, gentlemen. That's not the point. But the dude hasn't finished a season in at least 3 years. And that's getting to be
We got one of those.
Yeah.
We got one of those at left tackle.
I thought you might bring him up. I thought that would be.
Hey, man, Stanley played good last week, man. Get off his back a little bit.
But it's not about the talent.
Oh,
Listen,
I'm gonna ride Stanley until he's gone, man.
I'm not mad at it either. Stanley's a good player, but it's that same situation. Listen, I'll go the Jimmy Garoppolo route with the 49ers. Now he's a shell of himself, obviously, but at some point you did have to switch him out because, gentlemen, you guys know this: the best ability is availability, and at the very least, if you don't have an availability, have somebody else who'll be there. This is why Lamar Demetrius Jackson missing games has been only somewhat of an impact when Huntley comes in and handles business. You have the situation that Atlanta had years back with Michael Vick when he would get hurt, and he would for at least 2 or 3 games. They would go to Matt Schaub and he'd jump in, right? You guys have that built-in backup for the QB that has a physical style of play that can also throw the ball. By the way, I'm not doing that running back trash. Do not put that. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. That's not what's happening here. But all of the above to say, the main reason Travis Etienne isn't going to have a big running day, I'm saying it right here, is because that group is going to smash the interior. Now, you're going to get some big plays broken off on the outside, I think, when dudes over pursue and they start to get overconfident. But that's what happens when dogs start to smell the meat. There's probably a joke in there somewhere.
We got some comments coming in from our Facebook Live. Ryan says the loss of Kirk has changed their offense and forced an emergence of Evan Ingram. If we say our defense pinpoints Ridley and Ingram, what's the Jags game script that beats us? So that was a question for you, Kyle.
No, that's a strong question. I mean, for me, you can't forget about Zay Jones.
Yeah, if we put.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can't forget about Zay Jones. Parker Washington, a kid who's come in at the spot that Kirk was playing. He played a lot of preseason games, looked pretty good. I wrote a couple articles about his performance in the preseason back in that month for the Jaguar Report. Bing! So what he's done, he made an amazing catch, by the way, in the the Cincinnati game. Where he had that's where he realized, oh snap, I got to play some games. Made a spectacular catch for a significant touchdown that took it to overtime, right? I'm not here to tell you that Parker Washington's the answer. I'm trying to tell you, if there's too much concentration with the coverage on a guy, they have enough weapons, the Jags, to beat you. That's what makes them uniquely difficult. This is why people within the Duval devout community went with trying to pick them to take 13 games. Me, I didn't do that. I had them winning the division still with only 10, but it's all those weapons that make that possible. The real way you're going to break the Jags back isn't about who's covering what. Although a good breakfast secondary, a good coverage in the early part of a play will certainly help this too. The key to it, like I said, is going to be that front smashing through that interior. Here's the thing you got to worry about with Trevor, and Josh brought this up earlier. With Trevor Lawrence, you might remember he also had a knee injury going into a Thursday night game, again on a short week, right? Like the Monday night to the Sunday. Instead, this was Sunday to Thursday, right? On a short week, he played the New Orleans Saints and led the team rushing in a road game. Now, granted, the Saints' Foster Moreau dropping a key touchdown at the end of the game that would have had them the win has a lot to do with it too. But the punchline is this, fellas. Trevor Lawrence on a bad leg has led this team in rushing. And it's because it's a great opportunity for him to be like, oh, you're going to cover like that? I'm going to run and get some yards. He doesn't look the part of a great athlete, but he is one when you give him the time to do it. You know, it's actually very Mark Brunell-ish like that. Okay, not to bring up old bad memories, but it's a thing that happened. So I say all the above to say, if that running element is limited, as Josh talked about earlier, it's not so much whether he'll play, it's how much he is playing. What percentage recovered is Trevor Lawrence, right? And if he's that dude that can use his legs, that can easily, like when he breaks out, he gets a first down, basically, right there. If not just, 9 yards for a nice little QB sneak to get the job done. Which, by the way, apparently another team beyond the Eagles can run the QB sneak, I come to find out, despite the weak interior line. This is how tall Trevor is. Anyways, I say all the above to say that key is going to be up front. And if the Ravens secondary is in a position where they're focusing on a guy, that's going to be a mistake. And you're going to, hell, even Travis Etienne might come out the back of the backfield and do some damage. Trevor Etienne is at Florida University. Well, he's about to transfer. So that's the wrong guy. But anyways.
So, Josh, let's kind of transition a little bit. We've been talking about the Jags offense for a few minutes. We're going to jump into the Ravens offense with this defense. Josh, what's the biggest thing you saw on film leading up for this week?
It's going to be our offensive line versus our defensive line. Same thing. We got to delay the pass rush. Look, if we can hold this pass rush and Lamar has time like he's had last week. I mean, he had some plays he had 8-9 seconds. Crazy shit. If they can play anything like that, man, I think Lamar's going to carve its Jaguar secondary up. I think Isaiah Likely is going to continue to flourish. I just got a feeling the Ravens were kind of, we got the win last week, but they still were kind of sluggish. We played one game in 23 days, and it looked like it a little bit. They look kind of sluggish. I think this game they're going to look to, take the AFC and make the road to the Super Bowl come through Baltimore.
And that's a big deal for us because we are in a position now where the Steelers lost, the Bengals lost.
I love the Steelers falling apart, man. It's just like beautiful.
With our divisional opponents are falling off, we have a chance to nail this door shut this weekend with a win to the AFC North and enhance our chances for the AFC Championship game to come through Baltimore. We both know the importance of that, and this team is completely different from the 2019 version. I don't see this being a bust-like team where it's all emotion. This is a very grounded football team. They have their emotions in check. They got veterans all over the place that you alluded to earlier, Kyle. Odell Beckham Jr. has been an absolute godsend to this wide receiver corps this year. He's putting up stellar numbers as our second or third pass catcher.
He's starting to look like the Odell of old the last 3 games, man. He's been fast off the line, slant, scoring touchdowns. The old Odell.
He's been very efficient in the open field. He's starting to draw attention from more than just a nickel or a dime back. So now teams are game planning for him, and that's opening up opportunities for Isaiah Likely in the absence of Mark Andrews. It's opening up opportunities for Zay to get one-on-one looks on the outside or in the slot. So it's helping us, and we're getting contributions from secondary wide receivers such as Nelson Aguilar, and we have the run game that's still a well-oiled machine. They didn't run very well last week, but we get with the combination of Gus Edwards and Keaton Mitchell going forward. Justice Hill in the pass game, he's good in the pass pro. We're a different team, and I truly believe that this is one of those games where we need to exploit your guys' injuries, and I hate to say it as plainly as that, but with your secondary being as banged up as it is, somebody's going to be open consistently. Now, whether it's Bateman, whether it's Aguilar or Flowers, I think you guys are going to focus on OBJ because I've said this on previous iterations of the show the last month or two. No defensive back wants to be that guy that gets cooked by a 31 or 32-year-old Odell Beckham Jr. So they're good. They give the man a lot of cushion. He's great at drawing pass interference penalties. He's pretty much the healthiest he's been since 2019, and you can't really ask for much more than that. So I truly believe that this game is going to be decided by, for the Ravens offensively, is who you guys just simply can't cover. And then once we wear you down in the passing game and you guys start playing back, that's when they're just going to run the ball right up the middle. It doesn't matter who's there. I mean, we have a pretty good interior line. Am I correct, Josh? Linderbaum is handling everybody he sees this year. He does not really.
Interior was solid. Yeah, Linderbaum's one of the best centers in the NFL.
And Zeitler's a little up and down, but Zeitler's having a pretty good year at right guard.
Yeah. Zeitler's playing well for that position. We're just used to him playing stellar, and now he's kind of, he's having bad games, and we're not used to him having bad games. So it's kind of weird.
To be fair, man. It's weird because Zeitler was he was a Pro Bowl guard coming from the Giants. He came here. He had a really good year last year. He's having a pretty good year this year. But we're spoiled at the right guard position for the simple fact that we watched Marshall Yanda for damn near a dozen years. And, it's just, that's who you compare it to. The person that was like the guy in that position and they retire. Now you're immediately going to look at like who's replacing them. It's like nobody can hold up to J.O. at left tackle. Nobody can hold up to Ed Reed at free safety. Nobody can hold up to Ray Lewis at the middle linebacker, except for the guy we got right now who is trying his damnedest to fill his shoes in Roquan Smith, who is just an absolute monster. But
he's got to win some rings first. Hey, watch that tongue.
Oh no! I'm not.
He's got a couple rings to win.
Ray's the best.
He's got to have his own entrance. He's got to have the stellar entrance like Ray. He's got to have 2 Super Bowl rings like Ray. He's got to do all that shit.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that this is going to be one of those situations where, for you guys on defense, at least from what I can see, Kyle, Olakun is your best athlete by far
Yes, he
Oh,
is.
absolutely. Yeah.
on
Dude's a
defense.
monster.
He's
I
far and
like him.
away your best guy.
He's a
Um,
problem.
he's a problem, and the thing is, he spies Lamar almost every single time they play now.
And wouldn't you have
And
him do that, right? What an athlete he is. I mean, the dude has a pick six on the year, for goodness sake. I mean, this is a guy who, I mean, I'm standing next to him in the locker room when I'm interviewing after the game, when I'm there with the 3-point conversion and Jaguar Report and A7BN Sports and all those. It's more than one outlet I'm there for, guys. But I say all the above to say this. Not only is he a cool guy to talk to, he's not just an athlete, he's also got some substance to his build. He's actually a linebacker. I know, blown mind, right? An NFL linebacker's got some substance to him, and he is sharp, and he is his team's soul. The way he stands in front of the camera every time when it goes bag for the Jags tells you that this dude is ready to bleed for this group. It's not surprising to me that you, as Ravens guys, are pointing out Foye Oluokun in a way that the rest of the NFL should be. This dude has led the league in tackles at different intervals, but nobody wants to talk about that. Welcome to dealing with people in Jags. By the way, side note, Jimmy Smith and Fred Taylor should be Hall of Famers. But I say all the above to say this, fellas. The things you're talking about with all your history, you're talking about the great Ray Lewis and all this other stuff. And he is great. Let's not get stupid. But Ray Lewis ain't Ray Lewis without Sam Adams. And my favorite fat man, hello to
God
him.
rest his soul.
Y'all got to
Oh,
get.
I thought you were going to talk about Tony Saragusa.
So
He's
say,
his boy.
oh, Sam Adams didn't die, dude.
No,
Yeah.
I thought he was going for the duo from the 2000 team.
I ain't gonna diss the goose, but like he was more of a kind of a a 3-4 D end rather than a pure nose. Now, granted, Saragusa took plenty of the let's say my brethren on the line be worried about him plenty. There were some double teams coming his way. This isn't me pulling feathers from Goose. Let's not be silly. Yes, may he rest in peace, as was mentioned. But the key element there is guys going out to the second level to hit that linebacker. And what I'm telling you is Folaransu Fatukasi is the Jags, Sam Adams or Haloti Ngata. And you ain't got that. And all the more reason for you is less of an issue for Lamar Demetrius Jackson. I'm not saying Foye is the same like caliber of D tackle. I'm telling you that's why he's important. That's his similar role. I'll put it this way: Foley's not been playing long enough to be me dropping that Sam Adams smack, but that's the role he plays for Foye. And I think there are times where I have no problem calling Foye poor man Ray Lewis. The closest thing in the modern era to him. Granted, he's not going to do a whole dance and all that and be that iconic, but he's that style of backer.
Hey, Kyle, I got a quick question. Hold on, Matt, give me 1 second. Kyle, quick question.
Take it away.
Does the Jacksonville fan base frustrate you, man? Because they are up and down, not always supportive. You guys, I know you guys used to have blackouts, and no offense, I'm just curious. Is that a frustrating thing? Because you seem like a true Jacksonville fan, which I respect. You know everything about them. You know the history, everything. So it seems like you've been there from day one. Is that frustrating for guys like you that love the team?
Well, and for clarity, like I always followed the Jags. They were a team I enjoyed seeing do well. I was born in '79, the same year that Joe Montana was drafted, so it was natural for me to follow the Niners. But when the Jags were established, yeah, I'd like seeing Mark Brunell do good. That whole thing where they beat that Broncos team that they weren't supposed to beat with A&M, that tickled me a bit. Absolutely, Fred Taylor, doing his thing. Maurice Jones-Drew, I got to meet that cat. I enjoyed that thoroughly. The punchline to all the above being the reason why it doesn't bother me as much, Josh, and it's not just because I cover the team and I'm able to compartmentalize that. Like Twitter's a thing now, so I can't ever truly escape the right. But I also used to write for the Dolphins Wire. And it was during the tanking for Tua year was one of the years I was writing for them. So I'm kind of numb to the fan element that you speak to. But sure, there are times there are annoying. I've written pieces for the Jaguar Report, bing, that have said it's not time to panic, guys. Just last week I wrote it. Let's say they lose to the Ravens. Your last 3 games are the Titans, Panthers, and Bucks. You can win out. It's okay. And by the way, you mentioned the AFC North doing their part to lose around you, as you described. The AFC South did the same bleeding thing last week, you might remember. Well, they should have, except the Titans, managed to win that Miami game. That was weird. But the Colts and the Texans, the 2 playoff relevant teams, both lost. And the Texans will be without C.J. Stroud, the still likely Rookie of the Year candidate offensively, right, as they face the Jets. A game they'll probably still win, but, stranger things have happened. I say all the above, gentlemen, to say this. The panic of the Jag fan does get tedious. I'm not going to act like it doesn't. But, hey, I'm lucky enough to have a platform to do my best Aaron Rodgers impression. RELAX. Relax.
Hey, that was a good question, Josh. I've always wondered that too about certain fan bases that are very fickle.
I know it's like a Florida thing. They're known for not look at the Rays, man. They're constantly good in their stadium. That's like
hell, look at any Miami team, my guy.
Yeah, you're right.
So let's move on to the final segment, gentlemen. This is our score prediction and
my favorite segment.
This is Josh's favorite segment. So, Kyle, you're our guest. I'll let you lead off. What is your score prediction, and who is your player of the game?
Well, gentlemen, I'm going to say this. I'm going to make both a bold prediction in my score prediction here. Now, I have the Ravens winning this football game. Well, what's bold about that, Kyle? You said they're a good team. What's bold about it is it's going to be a 30-24 score. I don't know what it is precisely, other than I think the blueprint, air quotes, that was put out by the Bengals on Monday night 2 weeks ago, other teams are going to try to follow it. Doug Peterson is going to know that and make adjustments. I think the Jags are going to get some cheap scores in the form of big plays, and they've been improving in the red zone when Trevor gets the opportunity to cook. He didn't really a lot, from what I could tell, against the Browns. A lot of that was, capitalizing on Brown's mistakes more than it was anything else. Not that there's a problem with that, but all the above to say, Lamar Demetrius Jackson is going to get his, and I know it's cliche to make the quarterback the player of the game, but it's not in the way you're thinking. Sure, they're going to respect his running ability, but I think Lamar Demetrius Jackson is good for 300 in this game.
Wow. Okay.
That's like a few weeks in a row. The other dude picked his team to lose.
You got a good football team, Josh. I'm sorry. What do you want me to tell you?
The Chargers, the Rams, and now the Jaguars have all of our guests for those teams have picked their teams to lose.
By the way, quick side note, Matt, don't fret that you guys couldn't run against the Rams. They have Aaron Charles Donald at tackle. Sometimes them running backs go and struggle. It is what it is.
Yeah, but we still pulled it out, in overtime with Tylan Wallace on the punt return, which was electric. But Josh, what is your score prediction, and who is your pick to play for the game?
My pick to click. I think Isaiah Likely is going to have another good game. He played well early last week, scored a touchdown, long touchdown, wide open. I don't know how you let a guy get that open. There's nobody on him. But I have a feeling he's just going to have a good game. I don't know why. I think he's going to carve up the middle of this Jacksonville defense. Score. Yeah, I'm up and down with this one. I'm gonna go 34. I'm gonna go 34-10 Ravens. I think the Ravens are pissed off. I think they're tired of hearing all week how Jacksonville always beats them and we got a losing record and we never win down there in Jacksonville and all this shit. I think they're going to be pissed off and want to put that to bed.
By the way, Josh, I want to make sure I heard you right. Did you say that Isaiah being successful is likely?
I like that.
And before I give my pick and my prediction, Kyle, I do want to respect the consistency from your article earlier where you predicted 30-24 Ravens win on the Jaguar report. I do want to give you your props for that because you stayed true to form regardless of the platform. So I respect that. My player of the game is going to be Rashad Bateman. I think he's the wide receiver that is going to benefit the most from the attention given to OBJ and Zay. At this point in the year, teams are respecting Zay's ability for the home run shot, even at the line of scrimmage. He had a 70-yard touchdown on a bubble screen called back for a phantom holding call a couple of weeks ago. I do believe that Bateman has, probably about 70 yards receiving, and I would give him a touchdown to go along with that, and I think that touchdown is going to be the first one of the game. So that's my prediction, and my score prediction for this week is going to be Baltimore 34, Jacksonville 17. I do believe that we get back in the 30s. I think that our defense is going to be somewhat smothering when it comes to the run game. I do believe, like you said earlier, we do get a little overzealous and we give us some outside runs, but we got some different guys on the edge this year. Kyle, always just a piece. He's not the guy. Clowney and Van Noy have combined for, I believe, 16 sacks or 15 sacks so far this year, and they've both done a relatively good job setting the edge. So 34-17, and Rashad Bateman is the player of the game. That's going to wrap the show, guys. Kyle, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule. You were covering one of the college bowl games tonight, and you came right from work and hopped right on air with us. So we appreciate you. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Thank you for pointing that out, Matt. I don't want your listeners to think I wear a pink tie to everything. No, I was at the Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl, the game for a cause, and I was covering them with the 3-point conversion. So check out what I wrote about the victory by the Appalachian State Mountaineers over the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. I know it's G5, whatever. Football's great, even when there's an entire inch of rain that takes place during it. That's why I'm wearing this hat. It's because my hair looked like hell before I jumped on the air, fellas. I'm just saying. Anyways, thank you for having me jump aboard, gentlemen. An honor, joy, and privilege to step here and have some fun and talk some ball with you tonight. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, as you see here listed, the SOTG. Find me on Threads and Instagram as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings with the Jaguar Report. As Matt so graciously mentioned, I do have my prediction piece as part of the team there. And of course, while I'm there at Everbank Stadium on Sunday night, I will turn something out. So look for that after the game, or if you wake up on Monday, that's cool too. I don't mind helping you go to work. Also, check out my work with the 3-point conversion. Like I mentioned, the bowl games, I'm covering that. Cure Bowl, like I said, I just came from. End up coming on the 28th. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, I'll be there for that. And also the Citrus Bowl on New Year's Eve. So look for all of that from the 3-point conversion. And I'm not done, fellas. I cover UCF with the Black and Gold Banneret. I cover UCF basketball and also UCF football. They'll be at the Gasparilla Bowl. So I'm actually going to do some Power 5 action here on Friday at Raymond James Stadium. And listen, don't look for me on Sunday covering the Jags because it's Christmas Eve and I have 2 kids that are younger than 10 years old. Okay,
We understand.
But all the above to say, I had an excellent time. Looking forward to the next one if and when it happens. Playoffs, just throwing it out there. But until then, guys, class dismissed.
Josh, go ahead and sign us off, my man.
Look, man, I'm just gonna shut it down because that dude has a hell of an ending, man. He put mine to shame. I don't even want to put it out there. I like the class dismissed. I may steal it. Hope it's not copyrighted. And shut it down, Matt. That dude killed it.